Off the back of another successful podcast last week.
Yeah, episode 5. Here we are.
Holy shit.
Episode 5.
We're very happy as well because I think we finally got a name. We're going to go with Joe and Caspar, Hit the Couch.
I hate it.
You actually don't.
I do, because I've never used the word couch. Couch to me is like an American term.
Couch.
Couch, hit the couch. Caspar is convinced that that's the name. I'm not too sure, but it's got to the point now where 5 episodes in, I'm kind of like, do you know what? If that makes you happy, I'm happy to go with whatever you say.
Joe, you just got off another podcast.
I did. I've just come fresh off another podcast.
So you're literally living from podcast to podcast.
I'm doing like a research round. So I'm going on people's podcasts to see how they work, to see how we can improve ours. Turns out we can improve ours quite a lot.
Really?
Yes.
Which podcast were you on?
So I've just been to over East Way to do the Fellas podcast.
The fellas are Cull Freezy and the Burnt Chip.
Yes, Cal Freezy and Chip. They've got it locked down over there, you know.
How many people do they have working on it?
They've got a full-on team. They've got not just one room for podcasts. They've got multiple rooms. It's a slick operation. They've got a set that's been designed by Chip, and this season they've gone like retro. So it's all like retro games I used to have as a kid, mum's basement type vibes, and I absolutely love it. So I was very excited to go on their podcast and be a part of that.
But do they have McVitie's biscuits?
They didn't. No, they had beers.
Oh, so you're drunk?
I had one beer.
Does that do anything to you?
So yes, I am drunk. Do you know what? I genuinely did. It made me need a wee. It was good. There's a lot we can learn from them.
Yeah.
It's a slick operation. I think, we've got a long way to go. They've got beers and banter. We've got tea and McVitie's.
Who apparently might sponsor this podcast.
Shut up. Really?
Apparently.
Really?
I don't want to get your hopes up.
Shut up.
Yeah.
But welcome back, everybody, to episode 5 of Joe and Caspar Hit the Couch.
Hit the couch.
Your feet are out, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Feet
Today
are back
is one
out.
of those days where it's warm outside. You know, summer in London.
Yeah.
You can't beat it.
Was it you that posted saying you love this city?
Yeah. This city just lights up. Or even this country does. I don't think it's just this city. This country is actually pretty sweet, other than the politicians and the wet weather. Everything else is pretty good here.
Our first day of like decent weather and like consecutive, like a couple of days in a row, you can sense the vibe changes in London. Everyone gets a bit excited. The chat of beer gardens starts.
Yeah, that's the thing. People run towards alcohol, whereas I just take off my shoes.
Yeah,
That's my thing.
You're a bit more boho, aren't you? I think I prefer it if you did run towards a beer garden and get those big old stompies out. But yeah, we're into episode 5. It's my week, even though we've sort of alternated it now where it's me discussing my week, but it's always in your house.
That kind of works, though.
And
You're coming over to tell me about your life.
I bring news.
Yeah,
from the countryside.
what's happened? I know Diane's had a special day recently.
She has. It was Diane's birthday.
Ooh, can we talk about that?
We can.
I remember there was a time, by the way, where we couldn't talk about Diane because it was like a secret.
Really?
Wasn't it?
No.
Surely there was a time when you guys were, in the very big, you were hot off the press, shall we say?
Yeah, but I think we were pretty much. I mean, you would have known that.
He's stuttering. I don't think I could have brought you onto a podcast and asked you about Diane.
You guys all kept asking me and hounding me throughout Strictly if anything was going on, but I didn't answer any of your questions until after the show had finished. Yeah, until it had gone out on Instagram.
Because the thing is, Joe knows that Josh, one of our friends, Josh, who is a prankster, he likes to sell stuff to the newspapers. So he knew anything he said. Every time something's in the news, it's because Josh sells it for like £50 a pop. So all of those like early like stories about you and Diane, those were mostly by Josh.
Well, I did on this other. I don't want to keep talking about this other podcast I just went on. Yeah. Because obviously, we've got our own. But there was one thing that I will mention that we did talk about. And we were saying, like, if there's anybody in your friendship group who's that person that would sell a story. Because, like, our friendship group on YouTube, me, you, Ollie, Josh, Byron, like, all that lot. If there was anyone in that sort of group, formerly, like, people know us as, like, the Buttercream Gang, I guess. If anybody in that group was to be the one that would sneakily sell a story about the rest of us, who do you think that person would be? Who's the Judas of the group?
Yeah, I said Josh, but I don't actually think he would.
No, see, that's the thing.
I don't know if anyone would.
He'd joke about it.
I almost think maybe me. I love the idea of making a quick buck.
Yeah, I think it would be.
Hey, you're not meant to say that. You're meant to say no, it would be Ollie.
Or maybe Mikey.
Come
I think it'd be Mikey by mistake. So it's Diane's birthday. Diane is currently on tour, dancing.
She's always on tour.
Always on tour, yeah. So she was in Plymouth. She got a train back from Plymouth to London. Got a hotel in London, and had like a day in London of just hanging out.
What else did you do?
Which was so weird because. What do you mean?
Did you do anything else in the hotel?
We.
Actually, I don't want to hear that.
We changed the aircon.
Thank you.
From cold to warmer.
Sorry, before you carry on, by the way, I did send Diane a message saying happy birthday, and she sent me 3 X's. And I'm like, oh, come on,
what?
Diane.
Just 3 X's?
I'm engaged.
Really?
Yeah, no.
I haven't
3
words
X's
of her.
is like, well, she said thank you and 3 X's, and I'm like, when you triple X someone, to me, that's a very kind of, over the top sort of thing. I think you got to go with 2.
Yeah, 2. You can't. I think if you go with 1, it's 2.
It's almost like a full stop.
It's 1. No, I think 1 is actually like just like a thoughtful kiss.
Yeah.
Whereas 2 is like, okay, goes to anybody. 3 is maybe too far. But then I think Diane's the sort of person that would send kisses to everybody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't feel special.
Well, yeah, that's going to ruin my day.
We met up and we had a day in London where, bear in mind, we both work in London a lot. A day in London of just like not doing work, but just like in a way doing things that you'd do if you were visiting London for the day.
Did you go to the Tower Bridge?
No, so I did suggest that we go to the Natural History Museum.
Ooh,
because I think that'd be a wicked place to go.
Yeah,
for a birthday.
But would out of interest, would you and Diane get recognised a lot when you go to these sorts of places? Because she's very recognisable with her red hair.
We did, yeah.
So you did.
We got stopped quite a lot.
Because you guys aren't just YouTubers, you're proper prime time.
The demographic
BBC One vibes.
Yeah, so it's more of a case of, I think people look over and go, is that? And they see Diane's red hair and go, it must be.
Really?
Because if they see me, they go, is that Joe from YouTube in olden days? He looks older. Yeah. But they see Diane, they go, red hair, Joe must be. Yeah. So then they come over.
Anyway, back to you and being famous in the Natural History Museum.
No, that's the thing, we didn't go. I suggested it, and Diane was like, no, I'm not really that keen on like history.
Yeah.
But I think
Diane thing
I think she'd love it though. I wanted to plan stuff beforehand, before we got there in London. So I wanted to potentially book going to the theatre and all this kind of stuff. Her birthday fell on a bank holiday Monday, which was not ideal. Ooh. But London still kind of carries on, which is great. But then she said, look, Joe, I don't know how to put the Australian accent on, I do Diane, but
Joe!
Listen, Joe, I don't think you should book anything because let's just vibe it out. Let's on the morning of. Let's just see how we feel.
Authentic.
Yeah, so we didn't pre-book anything. So on the morning of, we looked for like nice brunch places.
Oh gosh.
And we started walking. We walked to one. We walked in, and it was somewhere like near Leicester Square, like between Leicester Square and Covent Garden.
A real tourist trap.
Kind of. We walked into this place, and I could tell straight away. And normally, Diane's quite like, if she doesn't like something, she'll be vocal about it and say, nah, this is not right.
In front of the owner?
Kind of. Yeah. Okay. Or if something's not wrong with the order, she'll say this is not right.
Or have a James Corden on her hands.
No, but do you know what? I don't know if it's not quite that level yet. No, I'm joking. But she's been known to, if the coffee's not right, it will go back basically. Yeah. If she's paid for a coffee, then it's not right.
Like a true Australian.
Yeah, exactly. So we walked in and we could just tell from the vibe that it wasn't right. And I actually, for once, I think it's starting to rub off on me. I agree with her, and I was like, yeah, this is not right.
Was it a money laundering operation?
I don't know. It just wasn't what it said on the tin.
I feel like 50% of central London stores are just like, why do they exist? They're empty all the time, and they're just able to pay rent. So I think they're all money laundering.
I could see in the staff's eyes, there was 2 staff, and I could see in their eyes, they were like, you don't want to come here. We walked to another place that I found. We got there, and it said, I was looking on Google Maps, I was like, it says it's right here in Covent Garden. So I went in to speak to the person in this restaurant, and they were like, oh yeah, it was here, but it's closed down. We're now a different restaurant, but come on in. And I was like, oh, hang on a minute, let me see the menu. And because it wasn't the place, I was getting annoyed, because we were walking round and round in heavy rain, by the way. It was absolutely pissing it down. But Diane found it hilarious, and she was actually really enjoying herself.
She did. Diane loves weird humour like that.
Yeah. The woman goes, she had like a laminated menu, and she goes, oh, here you go, have a look at the food. And I was like, no, my hands are wet. I said, let's just go.
It's a laminated menu. It's perfect.
But I didn't know what to say. I panicked. I said, "Oh, my hands are wet. Sorry, I don't want to have a look."
And then at least your feet weren't wet.
But they were. They were soaked. They had Converses on. So we didn't eat there. We carried on walking. We went to 2 other places. They'd either closed down or they weren't what they said they were. It wasn't right or busy. We went to a place in Neal's Yard in Covent Garden called 21 Grains.
Okay.
The queue. Bear in mind, it's heavy pouring down rain. The queue went out and around. Because Dan wanted a healthy breakfast, a healthy brunch. And we were like, we're not waiting for an hour to sit in this restaurant.
I feel like I'm waiting for an hour to get to the end of the story.
Yeah, sorry. And then we carried on going, and then we finally found a place, and it was an Australian brunch place, and it was really nice. And the staff, one of the waitresses recognised us, and she gave us free mimosas.
Fantastic.
We went to Portobello Road and went to all the little shops around there. Diane
Did you go to Madame Tussauds?
No. We didn't like proper touristy it.
No.
When I say it back, it doesn't sound like much, but we actually genuinely had a really good day, and it was nice just to spend time together. We went for ramen for dinner because Diane likes ramen. Yeah. She found a nice little ramen spot.
That warm up your feet?
It's a good cockle warmer, yeah. So yeah, no, it was really nice.
Did you get her anything nice as a gift?
I got her a bracelet.
Oh, what kind of bracelet?
I got it from like an antique market.
You're really spoiling Diane. How did you did you write her a card?
I handmade a card.
Did she open it before or after the gift?
Before. Yeah, so I handmade the card.
That's good. That's a good sign.
I think cards that aren't, and this could be quite controversial, but I think cards that aren't handmade, do they still hold like...
Oh, so you hand draw it as well?
I drew it. I drew a picture of me and her on the card.
I've never done that, so please don't get ideas in Amber's head.
But I just think that lasts a lot longer and means more than a card that you've bought, unless it's like really tailored to that person. I don't know. I just think cards are a bit... outdated.
So how do you get like just normal paper, or do you get like card paper?
I got like nice paper.
Okay,
yeah,
that's important.
Paper.
I feel like I could just I might make it on like toilet paper or something.
But we do always like leave each other notes and stuff. Like when Diane goes on tour, she'll leave me a note. Aww. If I'm going away, I'll leave her a handwritten note, and we collect them all. So somewhere at home, we've got a big box full of notes from when we first got together.
I'd love to read it. I can imagine they're written in a similar way to like a World War II note.
No, so I purposely do a thing because I like writing the notes, but I don't like them ending up on social media for everybody to see.
So you burn them afterwards?
No, so what I do...
Oh wait, no, they're in a box.
Yeah, so what I do, Diane doesn't post them on social media, so I don't look soppy and because I want it to be something that's between us. But Diane likes to post them on social media. So I purposely write something in there that I know cannot be posted on social media. So you've got these lovely
your address.
No, but like something that is like purposely really vulgar or... So I write something on the love notes that I know cannot be posted on social media. But I'm a little bit like, one day I'm going to write something on there that I think is controversial and she's not going to understand what it means and post it anyway.
And you're going to get cancelled.
And then I get cancelled.
Even though you don't actually feel that, you're just trying to avoid it being...
I'm purposely saying stuff I don't mean or care about, but I do it so I know she won't post it. But one day she's going to post it and I'll get cancelled.
You're a very complicated guy, Joe.
We're in a complicated scenario, yeah.
So back to Madame Tussauds for a second, because I wanted to actually bring up the fact that your sister was once a wax figure. Did you ever visit that?
Why can we not do a podcast where you don't bring up my sister or her children?
Well, it's just crazy that like there was a time when literally I remember Alfie and Zoe were there, and I went in with Ollie White to do a video. And I pranked Ollie by pretending to be a wax figure.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, so he thought I was literally a Madame Tussauds wax figure.
Is that video still up?
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah.
Have we ever talked about on the podcast the video where you gave me a massage?
No.
Because that video, I tried to find it the other day and it's not there anymore.
I might have taken down a few of the more kind of...
controversial ones.
Not even controversial, just more... Yeah, just strange. Because I feel like I don't want certain people seeing that now.
I think the most controversial part of the video was that a puppy was put on my back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like...
Against its will. I
don't know. I looked at that's an interesting thing to talk about because a bunch of YouTubers do like delete all their videos when they stop making videos. I didn't do that. I just kind of randomly one day went through a bunch of my videos and just looked at thumbnails that I thought were a little bit like, oh, this is a bit embarrassing or not that I guess mature. You know, I'm 13 now. I gotta be a certain way maybe, but maybe I should actually just not give a
I think that's more the vibe, you know?
Yeah. Because I don't think anyone cares that I was putting a puppy on your back. I mean, the puppy wasn't having a bad time. It was Joe Weller's puppy, right?
Was it?
Yeah.
No.
Was it not? Or was it Harrison Webb's?
Harrison Webb's.
Are you sure? Was Joe Weller there, though?
No, Harrison Webb was there.
Why did I mix up Joe Weller and Harrison Webb? That's the thing. I would be the worst witness in a trial because I just would not remember.
In saying that, I was looking into it. Jury duty. Have you ever been called up?
No, but it's happening. It's going to happen. Yeah, I can be. I think you can be.
I was looking into whether if you've got a public profile, you can still be picked for jury duty, and you can. It doesn't matter who you are.
You can go in there, right, and like say I have a massive opinion.
Oh.
What?
No.
Okay.
Opinions.
Yeah. No, but I think you can say like, oh, I have this preconception about this case, maybe, and you might get out. I think you can turn up and act like a total kind of crazy person, and maybe that would help.
You turn up and go, I was involved. I did it.
Have you seen the show Jury Duty?
No, I've heard about it. I've heard it's really good.
Okay, yeah, no, anyway.
No, tell me about it. What is it? I've heard about it, but tell me.
Is that what you do on podcasts?
What?
Like I meant to explain things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because people are watching this might not know what jury duty is.
So Jury Duty is basically a show where this guy is called up for jury duty, and he thinks he's just on a documentary where he's showing his life as a juror, but actually everyone in the show are all paid actors.
Yeah, that's it.
And they're all playing characters, and they're freaking crazy, and this guy has the craziest time ever, but he turns out to be this absolute hero, and he's just such a good person.
It's like testing if they do the right thing.
Exactly.
It's a little bit Black Mirror-esque, isn't it?
It's something you would like to make. But
Yeah.
I've always been, a bit nervous about being called up for jury duty, because what if I come into like some sort of case that involves something I'm just not capable of understanding, or makes me super anxious or something like that? And I don't know. It's also, you have to sit there without your phone, which is something I should probably learn to do, for quite a long time, and literally hang out with people, you know, who aren't necessarily your friends.
That's the worst bit. You got to hang out with people you don't know. No.
Yeah, it's kind of like when I did a speed awareness course. That was, but at least that was online, and there was some strange people on the course.
Well, that's the thing. I've,
including myself,
even before doing YouTube, I've always been like, oh, do you know what? I'd hate to be called up for jury duty. Part of me is fascinated by it.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like it's just long, and I feel like there's got to be an easier way of doing it. But I don't think there is. Something that will never change. But
do you think you would be harsh on someone if they committed a crime, or do you think you're more sympathetic and think, oh, they made a mistake, I want to go easy on them?
Well, because to me, it depends. If it's like a mafia case, and it's somebody it's like the mafia kingpin, and I've been called up to that case, I'm sat there, and he's like, hey, I recognize you. Yeah. Where are you from?
Yeah.
Did you do those innuendo bingos back in the day?
I don't think he's allowed to talk about you like that in the courtroom.
But he might be able to in his head and go, I recognise him. I used to watch him do Chubby Bunny back in the day.
He's definitely allowed to do that in his head. Do you think he saw the cinnamon challenge?
Probably, yeah. And then straight away, I'm then going, he's going to have mates on the outside. What if he speaks to them and then I'm public enemy number one? How does that work?
Have you ever thought about being in prison?
I play out scenarios sometimes in my head. Yeah.
How do you Every now and then. Out?
It's usually when I'm watching like a prison documentary. I always go, I wonder how I would fare in prison.
Would you train before you go in? Would you try and make yourself crazy looking? Like, would you get ready for it? If you knew you were going in a month, what would you do?
I think it's all mainly mental. I don't think I could train my body to be any different.
I've gone to the gym, Joe.
I've listened to podcasts and watched documentaries, and apparently the thing, especially in the UK, the thing about dropping the soap in the shower is a myth. I've got a very active imagination. I put myself in every scenario. Just sitting here now, I had a scenario of what would happen if like someone just tried to burgle you and went for this window. Like, what would I do? And I always think about those situations.
What would you do?
That tea, if it's still hot enough, I'd throw that.
What about my carpet?
If you're about to get burgled, I don't think you care about your carpet.
That's true. So you obviously had a great day with Diane for her birthday.
Yeah, I did. It was nice. And then we had to go back. We stayed there for 2 nights. I'm such a light sleeper. If there's any noise outside, it's Bank Holiday Monday, the amount of drunk people I heard outside, I had like really bad sleep. And then the second night, the shower stopped working, and it wasn't a hotel issue. It was like the whole road just lost its water.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was nice. On the way home, got to the train station, and it was a train strike. And Diane's train that she was on broke down. Other than that, it was great. It was really nice.
Sounds like a mission.
Yeah, I do wish, like, since I've been with Diane, all her birthdays have been while she's on tour. Yeah. Pretty much. So I would love to throw like a proper birthday party, because I don't like having big birthday parties for myself, but for somebody else, I'd quite enjoy organising that and doing that.
Yeah.
What did you want to say about that?
I was going to say, like, have you ever talked about her not doing Strictly?
No. Have we had a chat? Well, yeah, because it's kind of like an athlete's career in a way. Like, I think a lot of those dancers know that you can't dance forever. Well, you probably could dance forever, but to the level that they're dancing
Cheryl
at.
Bass, though?
Who?
Cheryl Bassey. Huh? She's dancing. Cheryl Bassey.
Who is Cheryl Bassey?
The lady with the brown hair.
From what?
From Strictly.
Cheryl Bassey?
Isn't it something Bassey?
Keep going. You're close.
It's Anton de Beek. Oh, Shirley Bassey. What?
You're close.
Shirley Temple.
No. Gives the B. You're close.
Shirley Bam. Bam Bulgaria. Shirley Bree.
Shirley Ballas.
Shirley Ballas. So there's Shirley Ballas. There's the guy who's quite sassy and he's always like giving slightly lower scores.
Craig Revel Horwood.
Oh yeah, Craig Revel Horwood. And then obviously Anton de Beek, who I got to invest into a business with me once.
Did you?
Yeah, he invested in a company called Lottie, which is an old age care home platform.
How did you have to go meet him and stuff?
I knew his manager. Well, I know his manager, and he was just the perfect person for that business.
Do you know he's a big golfer?
Yeah, I know. Because I think he must be good. If you have good rhythm, that's why I don't understand why you're not good at golf.
I'm good at... Yeah, I'm not good at golf. Anton's done it, where he's sort of danced from young, and he's been on that show for as long as it's sort of been around almost, and he's sort of done it to the point where he's gone through to become a judge. So it's doable.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do sometimes speak about it and sort of say like what's the goal afterwards and things like that. But
do you and Diane ever randomly just dance at home?
Yeah, we do.
Like slow dance?
Yeah, sometimes.
And do you laugh while you do it, or you looking dead serious in each other's eyes while you do it?
It's mainly I try to be serious. But then but then she does what you just did.
Really? So you never just like grab her and you just have this.
I try to. I have
romantic dance.
I have these moments where I feel like I'm in a movie and I go, look, I'm just gonna Fred Astaire this and just go, come on.
I tried to do that with Amber, and yesterday she said, "Can you dance with me and I can stand on your feet while we dance?"
Oh yeah, it's like what grandparents do with their grandchildren.
She said, "Yeah, I won't go into it." Moving on. What else did you do with your week?
I've developed this thing. I don't know whether I've just become more awkward as a person, because I watch back like old videos, and I swear, like when I watch back my old vlogs and stuff, I was like, I know it's just being in your young 20s. I feel like I had a way more sort of confidence, right? I think
you're more confident now.
Do you think? Yeah. When I watch my old vlogs, I'm like, I was so much more confident vlogging back then than I am now. Like now I second guess everything and I'm like doing multiple takes of stuff. And I've developed this thing in public where I just can't walk properly. Do you have this thing where you're walking through the street and someone walking towards you and you go one way and then change, things like that. And you're just doing the same thing.
Yeah.
The other day I was in Brighton. I went to go to collect a new MacBook, which I'll get onto later because it's another part of my story. About 4 or 5 times on the way to the Apple store, I just did that thing where you can't stop. You go one way, the other way, but back like this, and you go, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. But I did it 4 or 5 times.
You know, it's a sign of not being assertive enough.
Yeah, but and I'm like...
You need to just pick your spot and go.
But is that me being unassertive?
It's both of you.
Is it just unlucky that I came across 4 or 5 other people that are also unassertive? Or is it just me being overpoweringly unassertive?
I think you're both unassertive, if that's a word, because if one of you is assertive, it won't happen. So it's like you both happen to be in that space of mind, and it's just a really unlucky day, it sounds like.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pathetic.
Yeah.
And I was like, how can I just not walk past people without being awkward? And I was like, this is stupid.
You're very courteous, and that's the thing. I think you overthink everything to the point where you always want to please people, which is really good, but it's draining on you.
Yeah, it is. It's draining. It is draining. And so anyway, so I discovered that I can't walk properly, and then I got to the Apple store, and I have not been to the Apple store. So my Mac that I've used to edit is from 2019. It's an old piece of kit. That was the
year we found out about COVID for the first time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was like that was the year post me doing Strictly. It was like what I think was one of the best years of my life, 2019. That's when I last bought a MacBook. So I thought, right, I need to upgrade it. So I went to the Apple store. I've not been to the Apple store for a while. I went to the one in Brighton.
You have Apple stores in Brighton?
There's one in Brighton, yeah. Do you know what? There's a guy in there who I love. It's a massive guy. But
what's his name?
I want to say it's Steve, but I don't think it's Steve.
I just want to get a picture of this
I don't know if it's Steve.
You're not describing Steve Jobs.
No, you're not. Okay. That's why I think Steve.
Sorry. Yeah.
But I forgot how weird it is to order something from an Apple store. Like, is it just me, or is it sort of like I was stood there awkwardly looking through the Macs, and I was like, is anybody going to come over and ask? Like, you have to go over and ask them, and like they're all in green t-shirts. And I'm like, do I go over? And they always look like they're busy or having a chat. And I'm like, sorry to interrupt your sort of casual
I feel like it's the place where a salesperson basically doesn't do any selling. They just basically you have to sell to them almost and convince them to give you a piece of tech.
Yeah, it's like someone in Apple's gone, like, the way we're going to do it is different. We're going to do it like this. We're going to be in just casual T-shirts, But I was like a bit sort of taken aback, and I was like, how long? So I thought, right, I'm gonna play their game. I'm gonna stand here at the Mac, and I opened up Final Cut, which is an editing software that we all use, and I started just playing on all 3 of the MacBooks, loaded up videos on there with the volume fully up. So I was testing out the speakers on each one. I was like, I'm just gonna keep playing this really loud to see if anybody comes over and asks if I need any help. Because I was like, they might think that I'm just being a bit of a nuisance. They might just go, go and speak to him to get rid of him.
I can't imagine you actually doing this.
And then in the end, no one cared, by the way. So I ended up going over. I finally found someone like, someone will be over in a minute. So I was like, okay, right. Then someone came over and she goes, okay, we're going to put you in a virtual queue. And I was like, well, I'm here in physical form. Where's like the physical queue that I can join? So I'm in a digital queue, a virtual queue, in a physical store, but I don't know what number I'm in line. There's no way. You've got
music blasting out of 3 MacBooks.
Yeah, and I was just there, sort of like thinking,
enough.
I don't know if I like this.
Yeah, enough.
It's a way of,
What's the CEO called now again? Tim.
Steve Jobs.
No.
Oh.
Tim Cook.
Tim Cook.
Yeah. So Tim Cook took over from Steve.
Oh yeah.
And like some people, I think Apple is amazing still. But some people go, Tim is no Steve.
Yeah, well, that's like saying Joe is no Caspar. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's different.
Well, I really appreciate that. I don't think anyone can quite match Caspar, so I appreciate that.
I would love to have. There's people don't they say like if Steve Jobs was still around, would we have had like something monumentally different?
I think they're well over 2 trillion now. Apple,
Amazon.
Google, Amazon, Nvidia.
Nvidia's a rogue one though, isn't it? You wouldn't expect Nvidia to be that.
Yeah, Nvidia basically, yeah. I mean, Nvidia came out of nowhere because of AI. They've just managed to sell.
And crypto.
No, I think it's more for AI. What I was gonna say is Warren Buffett's just started to sell Apple stock.
Right. So that means everybody else is starting to.
Well, he says he's just doing it for cash, and also because he thinks taxes are going to get worse, and so he wants to cash out now.
I think Warren Buffett sold those shares because he had to go on the Apple Vision Pro and thought, look, it's just not it. I don't think it's it. I don't think it's the one. Have you had a go on it?
No. I'm kind of scared that would make me both have a...
Sorry.
Jesus.
Sorry.
Okay, I was scared it was going to give me a headache, a neck ache, and also make me dizzy. And apparently it does that a bit. And the funny thing is everyone bought one, but I just don't ever see them.
I think people bought them for the content.
Yeah.
We bought them
so YouTubers bought them.
YouTubers bought them. No one wants to be that person sat on the train doing this. Not yet.
Yeah. Do you think that people will one day want to live in a virtual world?
Certain people, yeah.
Or do you think if the Apple Vision Pro ever works, it's going to be more just augmented reality, which is like a bit of both? So you can use it maybe to tell you stuff while you're walking down the street wearing just some like almost like Ray-Bans.
That makes more sense. I think augmented reality will take off and actually help our lives and change our lives eventually. I don't think virtual reality will. I think virtual reality is more for like gamers and people that want to completely immerse themselves into a different world completely. Did I ever tell you about the live stream I did? I played VR chat on Twitch once and someone entered my chat and they were like, oh, come with me to because I was getting like hounded by like kids in this virtual chat world. So this guy came over and took me to his world. And I met him and all his friends, and they quite literally live in VR. So they sleep in VR, they do everything in VR. They basically live their lives in VR. And I felt like I was doing like some sort of documentary on these people. They're really nice people.
Really?
They like took me to this penthouse building over on top of the Tower Bridge in London. So I was in this penthouse looking across the river, and it all felt quite real. It was pretty cool. Wow. So I had a little party on this rooftop. Then they took me to this little cottage in Final Fantasy VII video game, and they just took me to all these different places, took me to an aquarium in Dubai. I loved it. And I can see why they sort of stay there, but then also I'm like, I want to know who they are in the real world and what their real lives are like. But I can see a world in which people would prefer to live their lives in VR.
Why do you think people don't go clubbing anymore?
Yeah, I've heard about this.
It's the new thing.
People aren't nightclubbing.
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok of a guy saying, all the clubs closing down. That wasn't my impression of Wayne Lineker, by the way. It wasn't Wayne. It was somebody else. But all the clubs closing down. Kids aren't partying anymore.
Do you think it's because people can just live in a virtual world now and it's just as fun?
No.
And it's like on TikTok.
I think it's like a priorities thing. I think a lot of younger people probably think... I mean, it's good to open up to... If there's any young people watching that... I think mostly down to money. I think people see it as a waste of money now. People think, why would I... Especially like nowadays, how much it costs. When I was younger, a pint was £4. I think in
I
London
thought you were
now.
going to say 30p.
Back
in
I'm
the
not that
70s.
old. It's so expensive. We used to go out I was younger. We used to go out and you pay no more than 40 quid. That's to get into Bath for a night out, all your drinks, and get a taxi home at the end of the night. 40 quid.
What's the craziest thing you've seen in a nightclub? Because we went clubbing quite a lot when we were living in London, and we managed to go to some pretty crazy nightclubs. There was this one called The Box.
Yeah.
Did you ever go?
I've been with you multiple times.
So this club, they have one in New York and one in London, and it's basically this like show. Is it a cabaret, would you say?
Yeah. I feel like if we talk about this though, they're gonna somehow see it and never invite us back again.
Well,
No,
I'm trying to think if
I don't
want to
go
back.
anymore. I don't know. But yeah, it
He's
was.
like, no, we're not talking about it.
When was the last time I went? I think I've only ever been with you, and it's like like I would call it decadent. It was for your friend.
They basically like do stuff on stage, like piss on each other, and
Yeah, the one I went to go and see, there's a guy put his hand up his own bottom because he couldn't open a bottle of beer, and he's like, oh no, what's going on? I can't open this bottle of beer. Oh, I know where I left my bottle opener. Up my arse. So he like talcum powdered his hand and
it's crazy.
Pulled it out and
I went there once after I think it was the Brits, and I think there was one side there was like Harry Styles on one table.
Wait, didn't you? Was that the year didn't you like host the Brits or something?
No,
like the social media bit.
That was way before. This was recent. This was like 2 years ago.
Oh really?
And then there was Megan the Gazalian.
Meghan Markle.
Megan Gazalian or
Megan the Stallion.
The Stallion. She was also there.
Was Cheryl Bassey there?
Cheryl Bassey was not there.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, people just love going to this club, and I think they're super picky. Like apparently there was a time they wouldn't even like let a lot of footballers in because they wanted it to be more of a creative kind of.
Well, every time
club.
we went, I was bricking my pants because the fear of being rejected from this place.
Oh yeah, and they love rejecting.
Yeah, it's kind of part, but that's what makes it more interesting to go, isn't it? It's like that club in Berlin where they quite literally, hello,
hi Amber.
Amber's got her yogurt. Amber's got her yogurt.
Have you finished dinner already? Yeah. Oh my gosh, what time is it? One of the funny stories I have from a nightclub is I was at this place, I think it was called, what was that one where they have like it was like, I've seen like Justin Bieber was there. It was like
in London.
Have
we been?
Yeah, it's kind of it's Tape.
Yeah.
So Tape is like this nightclub.
Yeah.
It's another one. It was kind of on that. Okay, Box is up there. Then everything else is below. But Tape is near there.
We used to love going to like those kind of places, didn't we?
Yeah, and so I think Justin Bieber was there that night for some reason. Then there was like Louis Cole from One Direction. Is that Louis Cole? Sorry. Louis Tomlinson.
Louis Cole is fun for Louis.
Yeah, and I was there with Connor Maynard, as you do, you know, and a few others. And anyway, we got invited onto Louis' table, and I'm a bit of a directioner at heart, you know. I grew up.
So much so that you still can't pronounce his surname properly.
Yeah, and so we got on the table, and I was like, I feel a bit like, maybe I shouldn't be here. He was being really nice. His friends were being really nice. I was like, I need to contribute to this table. Oh, so no. I speak to the waiter. And you know these waiters in these nightclubs, they're horrible. They like make you feel like you need to spend as much money as possible to be there. And he kind of convinced me to do this like bottle show. I was gonna buy like one drink. He convinced me to do like a champagne bottle show. Oh. And I was like, okay, we'll do it. And it was like it was like £2,000 or £3,000, dude. No, I'd never like to spend money on this at all. And he basically, the show comes out, and like Louis is quite happy. Like someone's sent a show. He probably even I think he might have thought it was even for free or something.
Probably, it probably does normally get them for free. He probably doesn't have to.
Well, that's what I first thought. And then he goes over to Connor and he goes, "Oh, thanks for that, mate." And I'm just like, I'm like, okay, I have a decision to make. Yeah, I just say nothing, Or I go and say, by the way, that was me. And there was no way I could say, by the way, that was me. So I just said nothing. And I was
you
like,
know,
what a waste of money.
And you know Connor would never go, oh, that's my friend Caspar, by the way. Connor would go, yeah, you're welcome.
and it was just like, I learned a lesson there, like, never try it. And even if I did, like, tell him it was me, he wouldn't care. These people don't care about that kind of thing.
No.
It's such a stupid mistake.
I don't think I've ever spent money on, like, bottles or a bottle show night out, ever. Even my birthdays and stuff, I've never. No. I was going to say, my craziest nightclub moment actually is a bit different to that. It's actually pre-YouTube, I think. Yeah. One of my friends, who I will not name, there was a nightclub in Bath. It's like a lot of the nightclubs in Bath are underground, like vaults.
Okay.
So they're quite like dingy sort of like spots. And we're on the dance floor, packed little dance floor. And he turns to me and goes, Joe, I'm going to go for a piss. I was like, okay, right, yeah, all good. I'll wait here. And he was like, guard me. And started weeing on the dance floor.
Oh, gosh. You can't do that. That could get you done.
That's what I mean. Like nowadays, if you're caught weeing on a dance floor, you probably get put on a register, wouldn't you?
So
I don't know.
It does remind me of that story. I was in Cambridge for like a May ball or something. These are really cool balls where everyone gets dressed up.
Yeah.
And I remember getting really drunk, and I slept in my friend's dorm room. And he kindly let me sleep on his bed, and he slept on the floor because he saw how drunk I was. Gave me a lot of water and so on. And then in the night, and I don't remember doing this because I was so drunk, I got up and just started pissing on his laptop, thinking it was a urinal because it was like a MacBook Pro and it was like silver. And he's like, mate, stop pissing on my laptop. And I was like, shut up.
That's what I say from the in-betweeners.
I literally didn't know, and I felt so bad. But luckily, he had fed me so much water that my piss was literally just water by that point.
I can imagine you would turn around and go, "Oh, can you? Have you got something moist for me to wipe with?"
And so, I can't believe. So, I mean, your friend sounds bad, but mine's nearly as bad as that.
If you don't know, me and Caspar were part of management. We were clients of a management company called Gleam for most of our YouTube time. I guess, our sort of peak time. Gleam always had summer parties and Christmas parties. I used to get quite drunk at those parties. I used to love a Gleam party. I used to really enjoy it.
I don't remember getting ever as drunk as I got where I pissed on a laptop.
No.
But I definitely, there were some fun times. And yeah, it was pretty cool, some of the places we got to go.
We went to I remember like one Christmas party, we had like some random like manor house in the middle of nowhere. And they had like a reindeer and a pen. And I got very, very drunk.
With Marcus Butler?
Yeah, and I ended up... No, Marcus went to bed early. And I stole a giant like industrial tin of baked beans. And delivered it to his bedroom. Because I was sharing a room with him at the time. And I remember I just gave him some baked beans. I was like, here you are, Marcus.
And did you start feeding him?
I brought you beans. But I didn't have a tin opener. But I just gave him... He woke up and he's like, mate, why is there like this random giant tin of baked beans? Like here... Like, what?
What else do you have?
Going back to prison. Oh, Christ.
Children walking backwards.
Yeah.
Why do you have children walking backwards as a point?
As well as me not being able to walk properly in public without doing this awkward thing, I keep seeing like young kids walking backwards. Is that a thing? I've seen it multiple times this week of like parents walking their kids, but the kids are all walking backwards for some reason. Children are now like developing differently and adapting and evolving to starting to just be able to walk backwards.
Do you ever find that weird when you look at children and you're like, when you're 25, I'm going to be, if they're 5 now, you're going to be 55.
Yeah, that's quite scary. Or when they get to your age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
they're going to see things, man.
Do you think they're smarter than us?
No way.
In terms of because surely they have so much more information than we ever had at that age.
Oh, when they get to our age, they might be smarter than us.
Yeah. No, I don't mean. Do you
know what? No, because I think there'll be like, as much as there is information out there, there's also a lot more like brain rot content.
Yeah.
You know, this brain rot stuff everyone's talking about.
No.
It's just like content that you're just sort of like, it's doing nothing for your brain. You're not learning from it. It's just rotting your brain.
So you're not watching the Joe and Caspar Hit the Couch
You
podcast.
could argue that this is brain rot potentially.
Come on, this is the opposite of brain rot. This is brain refreshment.
Hey, we spoke about Warren Buffett.
We did.
That's learning.
I talked about the 6 companies that are worth over 2 trillion. Hopefully,
I'm starting to become that old person that says, I feel sorry for the younger generation. They won't get to experience the 90s and early noughties.
Aww. What did you experience in those times that you really miss today?
Just like better games. They were not as good graphics, but better games, better movies.
Do you miss the fact that cigarette brands could advertise?
We used to get chocolate cigarettes. You used to go. I'm not even kidding. You used to go to before school. You go to the village shop and you could buy packets of cigarettes.
And you missed that.
They were like chocolate wrapped in paper, and you could pretend to smoke.
Why did you like that so much?
I loved it. It made me look cool.
Is that why you're wearing a Marlboro hat?
Yes.
It was a different time. I can't believe I actually used to be bored sometimes.
Yeah. Do you know what? The other day I cycled to a friend's house and left my bike on the drive, and they said, "Oh, you just sort of put your bike down like you're a kid." I'm like, "Yes, what I used to do when I was younger. You just put your bike down." And that's how you found out where your friends were. You go look around the houses and you go, "Oh, they're all around Caspar's house. All the bikes are outside."
It was safe, but this is back before 14 years of Tories. I'm going to Miami this weekend, so hopefully I'll have some stories about America. I'm going to a beauty conference.
What? Why?
Yeah. I don't know.
To sort out your eyebrows. Hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. Hopefully this episode gets out on the airwaves and finds its way to Spotify as well.
Yeah, this one we're going to try and get these things on Spotify.
Can we get Can we upload our back catalogue?
100%. We're going to do that.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I think we're going to look back on these episodes in many years to come with fond memories.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm enjoying it.
I just enjoyed it. I feel like this is therapy because I've actually said to people recently, I've never been so happy, and I think it's since I've turned 30, but I also think it's since I've started like just having hours of discussion with my best friend.
It's me.
There we go.
I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but
you're basically a counselor. What if we call it Joe Sugg the therapist?
I'm good at listening.
You are. Even though you do most of the talking. When I edit these, I'm like, oh my God. Joe.
Oh, is it me talking too much?
No, I love it.
Really?
I feel like this podcast is me interviewing Joe Sugg.
Okay, do you know what?
No, I like it.
Next podcast, I'm because it's your week anyway. I'm not gonna.
No, it's so much better. You are so good at talking, and I feel like I prefer asking questions.
Really?
I like guiding conversation. I'm a questioner, and you're a talker, and I love it.
I can waffle on about stuff.
No, it's good.
Anyway, thanks for watching the podcast, guys. We will see you again next week.